Welcome back to Rickey Does It, where today I'll be drawing the Mythos Mob in Procreate. So I'm going to try something a little different today. Instead of writing a script, recording the script, editing the script, fitting every scene to every thing I talk about to what's happening in the video, I'm just going to watch the video and play it back. So there's going to be weird outside traffic noises. You're going to hear me breathing weird. I'm going to mispronounce words. I might even use totally different wrong words for other words I mean, because that's what happens when I talk off the cuff. But hey, we'll try this and maybe it'll help me get videos out faster and more often, and I think we'd all love that. Now, I don't remember what kind of brush I'm using to ink here, but it is a very kind of messy, kind of gritty, inky brush, and I'm drawing right over this picture of Skeletor, Beastman, and Evelyn. Of course, Skeletor has Scareglow's head, and the bull looks like a dog here. That really looks like a dog face, but don't worry, I come back and I fix that. I like how Gorgosa looks. Of course, she's a Medusa woman. We have a Minotaur and a Cyclops, and these are just three of my characters, the Mythos Mob, from my graphic series, Ramona and Clay. I love these colors, She-Hulk colors. I love green characters. If I could have my way, every character would be like just different shades of green, because I love green-skinned characters. I don't know why. Yeah, and here you can see in a layer underneath the drawing layer, I'm just filling out colored blocks and filling those colors. I'm actually doing it with it's called dry ink, the brush I'm using, and it leaves like a jagged edge around the outlines of everything I draw, and you're gonna see later I easily spent 6 hours just cleaning that up once I decided to do a different kind of project here. You can see the edges are real kind of jaggedy, and there's lots of little uncolored splotches in all the blocks, and this is really... Oh, the video stopped. But yeah, now I'm shading, and I'm using a crayon tool. I originally started trying to use just the brushes that came with Procreate, but then I decided why not invest in some brushes that'll give me more of the exact effects I want. And I really do love how, the crayon looks here. I do end up smoothing it out a lot because it gives me more of the effect I want, but this is actually in doing my portraits lately. I was using this crayon texture brush and the dry brush, and it, I just really like the feel it gives everything. I was debating giving them nipples. I don't know why. They're fictional. Sometimes characters have nipples, sometimes they don't. Is that true? See, this is why I script things, because I would go and Google I'm pausing. Usually what I would do is I would just go and Google every shirtless character I could find and see if they had nipples, and take an average of how many characters have nipples, and then so I could have facts to back up what I'm saying and to know whether or not cartoon characters have nipples or not. But yeah, I love how the hair came out on Taros. See, this is what happens when I talk. When I just talk, I end up talking about nipples for way too long. Where are we in this video? Okay, we're shading his arm, and I think that came out real cool. I like the little two, like, for those tendons, and I kind of highlight those later. His hair, I was living for this hair, just those light highlights. I really love how that came out with the dry ink brush I was using. But yeah, they're a Minotaur, a Cyclops, and a Gorgon. Basically who we know mostly as like Medusa. Gorgosa, Taros, and Cyclo. I'm still debating whether I want Cyclo to have some sort of spinning body on his lower half. There's actually a character from Silverhawks. He's kind of like, you know, a husky character. And I think he bounces around, but he's kind of got like a... Oh, look at this technique. This is how I separate the colors, or the different shapes of the snakes in her hair. I made them different colors. And that's just so I could more easily see, like, what I want. And, of course, I could just get rid of that layer when I'm done. But, yeah, Cyclo, like the name, Cyclo. Cyclone. He's also Psycho. He's a Cyclops, you know. Terros, like Terr, like terror, terrible. And he's a bull, Tauros. And then Gorgosa, just like she's a Gorgon. And Osa is just like, you know, cool sounding. Gorgosa, Terros, you know, Cyclo. I debated giving these snakes yellow eyes, but I like the red eyes. And I think they go well with her red stone. And that's the thing with these characters. They all have stone-related powers. Cyclo is able to control rocks with his mind. Gorgosa is able to transform people and anything living into rock. And did this pause again? No, it didn't. She's able to transform anything living, you know, whatever, into rock. And then Terros is able to melt stone. So basically, like, he has magma powers. He's able to just, like, melt rocks into stone. And throughout my story, there's a lot of rock-themed characters and stones, and I know Steven Universe did it, and I've never seen an episode. I try, you know, but there's a lot of things I want to watch, and I'm not very good at watching things. I'd rather just scroll the internet, because from what the kids say, it gives you a better rush of dopamine. Why am I talking about this in my video? Where am I? Did it pause again? No, we're on her eyebrows. I love her face. There are a couple times where she just looks like the Medusa from Clash of the Titans, which is an old influence of mine. Clash of the Titans is one of my earliest influence of just loving fantasy and characters and just what you can do. It's just like telling a story through like these made up characters that are just, I don't know, part of our collective psyche of like stories and nightmares and the things we come up with to make sense of what's going on, and that we've been doing it since we started being human. Okay, and I went back and reshaded her body. I really need to get practice on shading bodies, especially women's bodies. I don't know why. Well, it's a very thin line because generally I tend to want to shade the women's bodies the same way I do the men's, but then everyone says they look too jacked, which I understand, but then there's just a line I want to keep of like keeping them looking jacked and strong, because I want them to look strong, but then I don't want it to look unrealistic, you know. And for some reason I haven't had enough practice drawing well, figures in general. Like you see I'm going way drawing and then redrawing, erasing, and that's just what I do. I'm still learning. Like, I'm really very much still learning. And so my plan going forward is my next 4 drawings, I just want to do like 100% copying something. Like, just look at a body, this is what it looks like, this is how you shade it, this is where the shadows are, and just get that to be more of a sense of what I know within myself naturally, without having to be like, oh, well, this muscle comes from here to... And knowing that stuff is good too, and I'm also trying to study that. Just stuff like that doesn't stick in my brain. It's a little too technical. So just doing it over and over again and just getting like a more intuitive sense, this always helps me. Oh, and there's their names, Mythos Mob. They're originally the Mythos Men, but then, you know, Gorgos is not a man, and I really do want to try to get rid of as much, like, needlessly gendered language in my story as possible, because I've always hated gendered pronouns, I don't know. Just always feel like you can't tell a story without that having to be a priority for some reason. One of my early stories was about the creator of the universe, and I never wanted to describe it as a he or a she. I'm not even sure what pronoun I just used right now. But, you know, in our culture, we tended to think of the creator of the universe as a he, or at least a lot of us are raised that way, and a lot of times I'll default to that because that's what's in my head, but it's like, it's nothing. It's the creator of the universe. It's the power that created all of us, male, female, whatever. Anyways, it was a story, and I was like 12, and I was so mad because I had to either choose he, she, or it, and it does not seem to properly convey the energy needed for the creator of the universe. But I definitely didn't want to say he because that's not what was happening. Again, that's not the reality. What's going on here? Did I pause it again? I paused it again. Nope, I didn't. You can see it on the outsides of her legs, like it's really jaggedy. And that's because when I shade over each layer, basically what I'm doing is just building up layers. I have the flat color layer, then I do a shadow layer on top of that, then I do a darker shadow layer, then I do an even darker shadow layer. Sometimes I do a fourth shadow layer for, like, you know, I don't know, facial features. I love how I say I do this as if this isn't the first time I'm trying this technique. But I think it really works for me. If a lot of my earlier paintings working in Procreate, I was building like 4 or 5 shades of each color, making a palette, and then like using those to like shade. But I think just using just like a medium gray to just overlay. And then I'll either use the multiply layer, what's that called? Effect, filter? I don't know. I'll set the layer to multiply to make it darker, or screen to make it lighter. And then I have 2 layers of screen, which are, you know, that's how I do the highlights. And then those layers, you set them to clipping mask, and that way it only affects the colored layer underneath. So that's the thing with me, and when I work, and again, I have no idea what's happening in this drawing right now, if it's still playing or not. Okay, there it goes. The thing with me is that, I forgot what I was. Oh yeah, the colors is, I use a lot of layers, and with Procreate, I didn't know you eventually run out of layers. So I actually like built, like most of this, what you're seeing right now is all in one document, but towards the end, I actually put each one in their own Procreate document, and then just touched it up. And that was really just cleaning up all the edges. Like I said, all those little jaggedy edges. And going forward, I'm just going to use the Studio pen. It's a standard pen that comes with Procreate, and it's just got a really smooth edge. I love it, and I'm just going to use that to make my shapes. And that way I know the outline, the edges are nice and solid how I want them. When I fill them, there's not going to be any like little jagged edges that like don't fill in, and then I got like a lot of blank spaces. Because like I said, it literally was like 6 of the 23.5 hours it took to draw this. Was just cleaning up the messy work I did in the beginning, because I wasn't even planning on this being going as far as I did with this. I was just going to be the way it was at the beginning with the block colors. But then, did it stop again? Okay, no, it's shading this thing. No, then I was just going to post it. I did. I posted the block colors across social media, and someone on Instagram was like, I love this, and they went through and they liked everything that was tagged Ramona and Clay. They're like, oh, this is so inspiring. And yeah, I was planning on doing like a bunch of like those in the block colors of like all my characters, but then it just inspired me to like make something a little more involved. And I was like, okay, let me make like very specific art of all my characters, looking the best I can make them, and then I'll use those as like, you know, like a series Bible, or just to have like a what, because that's what he asked. And thank you, Joe Optimus 77 on Instagram. Thank you. Seriously, thank you so much for liking everything. And, sorry, I lose my train of thought a lot of the time. Love that. Okay, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm painting over it's just its own layer. And in the future, I will use 2 layers, one for green and one for magenta. But I just have the magenta on one side and the green on the other. It's an overlay layer, and yeah, that's what gives it its effect. And when I first started doing it on Cyclo in front, it looked weird. But then once I did Gorgosa, especially once I did Taros, it's like, oh yeah, that's how they look. That's how the lighting is. And it's just, and then the dark background really makes it. Oh, that's all I was doing. Thank you, Joe Optimist 77. I'm pretty sure that's your name. Sorry if it's not, but thank you. Inspired me to make this something bigger, and I'm really proud of how this turns out. And going forward, I want to make one of these for like all my teams in my book, and the main characters, and then just like, so I can have, because that's what he did. He asked like, do I have anything more about these characters? And I really don't. You know, everything's in my head. I've been working on it for 3 years. I have like 250 pages worth of notes. And so I'm like, okay, it's time to start getting something out there, even if it is just character descriptions, even if it is just world building stuff. Just like, hey, get to know Ramona and Clay. Like, I keep saying I have this thing that's going to be your favorite thing in 5 years. And, but then it ends up, but if I want that to be true, I got to start putting stuff out there, you know. So yeah, you can see I have the little overlay of Cyclo in front of Gorgosa, and just so I know which parts of his body cover up hers, because then I don't have to draw everything. And now if I wanted to, I could, because then I could use that as its own piece later, you know, so like its own piece of art. But since I did start this as an exercise of like, you know, posing the MOTU, the Masters of the Universe Origins figures, I had someone tell me that it annoys them when people say MOTU out loud, but it's just, I mean, that's what I read. I don't talk to people about He-Man. You know what I'm saying? I interact with people online, and the way I see it is referred to as MOTU, so that's how I refer to it. Anyways. Oh, the MacBook went to sleep. Okay. So yeah, like I said earlier, I fixed up each one of these individual, and right now I don't even know if you're gonna be able to see anything I'm doing, because I remember editing. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but clearly I'm doing something, because there's a lot of footage of it. I think when I edit this, I'm gonna maybe zoom in on places, so times when it looks like nothing's happening, you can see like, oh well, actually, like, you know, I don't know, like right now, oh, I'm fixing the shadowing on his, you know, forearm. You know, it's all just little stuff, but the little stuff adds up, and yeah, like I said, this was 35 and a half hours of work. I don't always time myself, but I think that's a record for amount of work I've put into an original piece based on original characters. And it took me about 20 days. Those who know me know I deal with depression and lots of chronic pain I've developed over the past year, so I just can't work as often as I like, but I pushed myself. I did, like, you know, a couple hours here and there whenever I could, and, you know, it took me almost 3 weeks, but I got it done, and I love it, and I'm gonna, like I said, try doing this for all my characters. And just so everyone could get a good idea of, like, the world I'm trying to create. Oh, these laser lights. I love. Oh, well, that was, you got a taste of them. Is that it? Okay. Yeah, now I'm just doing little touches up the color. I think we don't have that too much longer to go. Well, thanks for watching. Oh yeah, here I'm doing like shadows, like, because I wasn't sure I wanted to do the lighting effect, but I just love like how like just the shadow effect just like really just makes it pop, and I just put on like half the characters, and And you can see the edges look a little jaggedy again because I was using like a crayon thing, but as I use the blending tool to like shade out off the corners, they just look like actual shadows. And it's really cool when I play around with the lighting, like if I change the background color, or you know, it really just looks like real lighting. So all right, I think that was the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sure I said lots of stupid things because that's what I do when I talk. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm apologizing for. Yeah, for any weird breath noises, my rambling, traffic noises. That's just how it is. And like that. Oh, I don't even know how loud that is. But it's very loud in my ears using the microphone headphones. Anyhow, thanks for watching. All my patrons, thank you so much. I was able to edit this video so much easier with a Bluetooth keyboard, which I was able to buy with your support and help. And maybe this part I'll script in the future. Because I'm rambling, but that's okay. I'm just gonna let this be what it is. I'm just gonna let this be what it is. Because a lot of times I hold my best self back because I say things need to be perfect, or I'm embarrassed of like people seeing the real me, which is a very messy person. And that's okay. I'm trying to be better. And yeah, I don't know. Thanks for watching.